Hello everyone, this is part 8 of What If Naruto Locked Eyes with His Future Wife, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Here she was alone in her room, thinking this was supposed to be her weekend with Naruto, alone. Boy was she wrong. Ino stayed, moped and cried in her room the past 2 days, ever since her dad had caught her with Naruto. She hasn't eaten well and hasn't spoken to her parents yet, neither has she talked to Naruto. What happened to him? Ino though, looking out her window to see the many types of birds flying by, the sun's light shining down at the fresh-cut green wet grass, about to hide behind the surface. But over at Naruto's window, was nobody. It's been 2 days, already Sunday, and here she was sitting alone in her room going crazy for the guy she thought cared for her. Was my dad right? She kept repeating his words, boys only want one thing from you. That was beginning to sound like reality. I was so stupid. Ino wiped the small tear at the corner of her eyes. I gave him what he wanted and now he doesn't want to see me anymore. Ino walked over to her bed and buried her face into the pillow. Something made her think he just wanted it and leave, but her heart told her there was a reason behind it. Just when Ino was going to cry herself into sleep, she heard the vibration of her phone coming next to her bed on the night table. Ino took her phone and read the called ID Tenten. Ino considered not picking up the phone, but then again she was the only friend that had enough courage to give her the homework from Friday. Besides, she needed to let her emotions out, and Tenten was the perfect friend to do so. Hey Tenten, Ino answered the phone, trying to force a smile to her face even though she knew Tenten couldn't see her trough the phone. What's up? Hey Ino, you okay? Tenten asked. Ino heard the sincerity behind her voice. Me, Temari and Sakura are on the line. We just wanted to see if you were okay, Tenten asked again. Then Ino heard the voice of the other girls on the line. Ino, hey, Temari replied, trying not sound too worried for her friend. We called you before on a 4-way but you didn't pick up the phone. What's up with you Ino? Temari asked. It was true, Ino had ignored all their calls during the weekend because she needed time for herself and Naruto, but she was alone. Is it true your dad yelled at you Ino? Sakura blurted out. Tenten blushed off the phone. She had told Temari and Sakura that her father was back and that she was crying when she went over to give her the homework, and for Sakura to just come out like that, made her look bad. Hey you guys, right now I need to talk to Tenten. Ino heard the silence on the phone. Privately on the phone, Ino still heard the silence. Can I just talk to you two tomorrow in school? I'll explain everything eventually, but for now I want to talk to Tenten, alone. No problem, take care Ino. Temari clicked on the phone, ending her part in this short conversation. Sakura took a moment to hang up the phone, but then she heard something that caught her ear. Tenten, we did it. Sakura heard Ino's comment, her finger just seconds away from pressing the end button. Instead she put the phone back to her ear to listen on in their conversation. She couldn't blow away something like this. Besides, they'll never know she was listening on the line. What do you mean you did it? Did what? Tenten needed only a few seconds to figure out what she meant. Oh my. Ino, you had S. Tenten yelled off the phone, shocked at the fact that the innocent Ino she knew, had lost her virginity. Shush Tenten. Yay I did. Ino bit her lip from giving her the full details, but she knew she could trust Tenten. That's why my dad was mad at me, he caught me and him doing it. Ino almost burst into tears but held back, biting her lip. Wait, who is he? Tenten thought of all the guys in school. None of them could be good enough to Ino just because they were either morons or simply assholes. Don't tell me, the new kid. Tenten's eyes went wide over the phone. Sakura had to cover her mouth with her hand from gasping. I can't believe this. She slept with Naruto. Sakura didn't know whether to feel angry at her friend, knowing damn well she liked him as well. Yay, Naruto, we had Tenten. My dad caught us at the park and now I'm not allowed to see him again. I haven't seen him in 2 days Tenten, he used me for S. Ino started sobbing off the phone, letting the wet tears fall. I'm so stupid Tenten. No you're not Ino, trust me there must be a reason why you haven't heard from him. Tenten almost felt like crying herself. Hearing her friend off the phone cry out her emotions was too much for her. I don't know Tenten, he asked me out, I'm his girlfriend now. And look at me, I'm so stupid, Ino cried more, letting more tears fall on the sheets of her bed. I liked him a lot Tenten. Ino, control yourself. Don't cry no more, I'm telling you there must be a reason for that, I'm sure he likes you a lot and he probably got in trouble by his parents or something. Tenten tried to negotiate with her, with concern in her voice. I guess, Ino tried to put the thought in her head, maybe it was capable that her parents had told his parents, and then again, there was a chance they didn't. Tenten, please don't tell nobody this, especially Sakura. You know how she is. Ino wiped the tears off her cheeks. Oh, how am I? Sakura tried so hard to not say nothing at her comment. We'll see how I am tomorrow. Sakura listened on as Ino spilled her emotions out to Tenten. I knew she was a bad friend. Why I apologize to this bee. Sakura narrowed her eyes, already plotting to get back at her. I promise I won't. Besides, she and Temari hung up like you said. Oh, so she thought. Temari was sorta worried about you because we didn't see you at school Friday and we didn't talk on the phone like we normally do. But I guess I'll see ya tomorrow, alright Ino? And don't worry, Naruto's just being dumb I guess. Tenten and Ino ended their conversation, planning to meet up tomorrow in the morning at her locker. Ino wasted no time in falling back to sleep. When she awoke, it was morning already. Neither her or Tenten knew Sakura had listened in on their conversation. Ino rushed to get ready for school, taking a shower, getting dressed and fixing her hair in a certain way for Naruto if she saw him. Ino grabbed her backpack and stuffed the papers she delivered from Tsunade in it and rushed down the steps. Morning Mom, Ino half smiled. She didn't want to speak to her mother either as she hadn't understood her point of view when she tried to explain to her about Naruto. I'm not hungry. Morning Dad. Ino slightly rolled her eyes at him who was sitting on the sofa reading a newspaper while her mom came in with a cup of coffee. Good morning sweetie. Her mom flashed her a smile and sat next to her husband, giving him the cup of tea and rubbing her hand on his lap. Have a good day. She saw her daughter heading towards the door. Ino-chan, wait, Anoiki ordered. Ino quickly stopped in her tracks and walked over to him. He looked her in her blue eyes with a look of love and anger. Either way he knew he could never hate his daughter. I know you're mad honey, but I love you okay. Anoiki sat up and kissed her on the cheek, patting her back softly. Bye. Ino stormed out the house with a rush, slamming the door behind her. If you loved me you'll let me see Naruto again. Ino shook the thought out her head and looked over at his house. He wasn't coming out like he usually did. Ino walked down the sidewalk, looking down. Hoping Naruto would surprise her from behind and poke her sides, making his favorite noise escaping her mouth. But no, he hadn't shown up or nothing. Ino was seconds away from the school's entrance when she heard his voice. Hey, Naruto. Ino turned to see but with no hope, saw some other guy greeting his girlfriend, kissing her and giving her a tight hug. Wishing that was her and Naruto. Ino continued into the school, making her way to her locker where she thought she would see Tenten waiting with a warm smile. She moved her lock's combination until it unlocked. She stuffed some of her books in there out of her backpack and looked around at all the different couples walking by her with smiles on their faces, fingers interlocked, passion fuming between the two. Again she wished it was her and Naruto in their positions. Ino shut her locker's door when she felt someone poke at her side repeatedly. She knew it was him. It had to be him. Was it him? Ino saw the answer to her question, along with Tenten standing right next to her with a book in her arms. Oh, hey Ten, what's up? Ino waved at her. Damn, she thought. Another close encounter where she thought it was Naruto. Maybe she was being delusional, but either way, she had to control herself. How could she when the boy she was obsessed with was Naruto? Nothing. Have you seen Sakura? Temari's in class already waiting for us. That's it. Ino looked at Tenten with a large grin. He's in our first class and some of my other classes. I'll see him there. He has to go to class, right? Ino saw the light bulb click over Tenten's head. Of course. Should we head to our class then? He's in our first one anyway, Tenten suggested, and without another word, both girls rushed into the class together where they were greeted with Tsunade's bad look. 5 minutes passed and still nothing. Everyone was there except Naruto and Sakura. Just then the late bell rang and Sakura came rushing in the classroom, wiping something white and creamy off her lips. Everyone saw her action and paid close attention to her moves. What took you so long? And where were you? Temari asked, at her usual seat next to Ino's, while Naruto's desk behind her went empty the whole period. Sakura glanced around the room, doing something. Hey you guys, Sakura smiled at Tenten and Ino, who gave each other looks of concern at her whereabouts. The whole class was quiet and paying attention to Snade's speech. Not one sound was heard, and Tenten knew the perfect way to break the ice by passing a note to Ino. Ino looked at it and unwrapped it slowly. Where you think she was? Tenten's letter said. Ino took out her pen from her backpack and wrote back, I don't know. You think it has something to do with Naruto? Ino tossed the small piece of paper back at her. Tenten looked over at Ino and shrugged. She motioned for the note towards Temari, who was looking eager to know what they were talking about. Ino nodded her head in permission and the note went flying over to her. Temari read the writing and looked back at both of them with a serious look, then at Sakura with a disgusted look on her face. Her eyes rolled over to where Naruto's seat was. Nothing. The class remained silent and still the whole period. No one noticed when the bell rang, but soon its yell made them walk out the classroom in a flash. Ino, Tenten and Temari huddled together, Ino filling her in on what she had missed out on last night's conversation on the phone. I can't believe you did it with him, Ino. Temari shook her head, picturing the two. I guess I'm going to have to give it up to you, Shika. Temari chuckled a bit at Shikamaru, who was walking out the class with his hands in his pocket. Shika turned around to face her, wrapping her arm around her waist gently and pulling her close. You said you wanna what with me, Temari? Shika moved his hand slowly down her ass cheeks, giving it a gentle squeeze. Shika! Temari yelled out in pleasure, hitting his chest and pushing him off her playfully. I'll see you guys later. Me and Shika are going to go to our lunch period. Temari and Shika quickly rushed down the hall. Wait, we all have lunch together in the same period. And it's morning. Tenten thought about it and blushed. Oh, never mind. Her and Ino chuckled. That Temari and Shika? I need someone? Tenten looked around at the guys playing with paper balls in the halls. I guess I don't. Speaking of which, where's Sakura? Wasn't she just with us? Ino looked back and sideways to see that she was gone. Where the hell is she, Tenten? Ino shook her head and headed down the crowded halls with Tenten at her side when she saw Sakura. Sakura was in a group of girls, smiling and chuckling at whatever was so funny. Sakura was doing most of the talking while the girls around her chuckled and listened on. They all stopped and faced Ino when both her and Tenten walked by. Ino saw the girls whispering gossip into each other's ears, and she could have swore she heard her name being said. Hey Ino, Sakura waved at her with a sinister smile. The girls around her laughed out and stared at Ino. She waved back and proceeded down the hall. What was that about? Ino moved closer to Tenten as if she knew something about what just happened. They were laughing at me. I should kick all their asses. Ino glanced back to see the girls pointing and laughing at her while Sakura remained in the center with a wide grin on her face. You think Sakura said something to her? I doubt it since she clicked on the phone last night. Ino thought about it, and the more she thought, she had another option. What if she never clicked and listened in on the whole conversation? Ino's voice began to tremble. No. Tenten's eyes bulged out her head. She may have said and done things to others in the past, but I doubt she'll. Tenten thought about it. There was a possibility Sakura could have listened in on them talking last night. Ino, what if she told them? I'll talk to her in gym later when we're alone, maybe. For now please don't say nothing. Ino began to turn the corner to her next class when Tenten waved by at her and disappeared into her own classroom. Ino walked down the hall and suddenly felt a pain in her. She had to pee, and pee badly. All this of her being paranoid over seeing Naruto, and now this situation with Sakura had her shaken, and she had to release her stress. So with that, Ino walked into the nearest girl's bathroom. The blonde female walked into the bathroom, fixing some strands of blonde hair coming down her face, and turned the faucet on. Letting the warm water caress her hands, she splashed some water on her face and entered a stall where she pulled her pants to her knees and sat with her eyes closed, releasing herself. As Ino was relaxing, her eyes popped open at the sound of someone's footsteps. Two girls talking to each other, apparently something funny by the way they were laughing. Ino lifted her legs into her chest so they wouldn't know she was in there with them. Her heart broke when she heard the comment one of the girls said. I can't believe Ino slept with that guy, so nasty. Me neither, but then again she probably slept with half the school now, but we just don't know. I guess. Nasty slut, one of the girls replied, turning on the faucet and running her hands through the water. Just then Ino accidentally dropped her book bag, making both girls look at the stall behind them. Who was that? The girl moved in closer and tilted her body to see familiar legs. That's her, she laughed along with the other girl. Come on, we don't have time to spend on skanks like her, the other replied and headed out the bathroom with her friend behind her. Ino stood there with her face buried into her hands, letting the streams of salty tears run down her face like rivers. How could Sakura had told them? She wondered, sobbing, hearing her echo around the room along with the late bell. Not was it hurtful enough that these girls she never knew had talked about her while she was listening, but the comments she read on the stall's door that broke her into more tears. The words in a black marker read, Ino's nothing but a slutty whore. Ino cracked the bathroom door open to see if anyone was in the hall. To no surprise, everyone had gone to class and she was late. The blonde whipped the last bit of her wet tear from her eyes and proceeded down the empty hall, hearing steps far away from her. As Ino was turning the corner, her eyes were still looking down when she bumped into someone at the turn. I'm sorry, Ino moved to her right and stared, walking away, not glancing back to see who it was. She felt a hand attached to her arm and pull her back slowly. She quickly got the person's attention when she looked back. Ino, he said in a low husky voice. His voice, his voice, is what almost made her heartbeat skip a couple of beats. Naruto looked at her, whipping some tears that were slowly recovering to her eyes. Naruto, Ino whispered, glancing up at him, where have you been? Why haven't you seen me or something? Ino didn't know whether to be angry with the blonde or feel sorry for herself. Either way she had to get some answers. Your mom told my parents we were caught. Naruto paused and shook his head. You know, they called the school and got my whole schedule changed completely. Naruto kissed her forehead. She was ecstatic that he had a reason just like Tenten told her. Really? Ino asked like a little girl. She felt his arms wrap around her back. Paralyzed for a second, Ino wrapped her arms around his neck. Feeling the warmth of his body and the fresh odor he gave out, so I won't see you at all. Ino saw him shake his head no slowly, his gaze met the floor. But today, I promise I will. I have gym with you still. Naruto put his hand on her chin, moving her head so they could lock eyes. I promise. Naruto kissed her lips softly, caught up in the moment. Ino tugged on his shirt, grasping it hard while Naruto as well explored her mouth, moving his tongue around hers, connecting, exchanging saliva. Not here, Naruto groaned, breaking the kiss and moving Ino against the hallway's wall. Ino was up against the wall, with his hands on her. She didn't care whether it was school or not. She wanted him more than ever at this moment. Let's go to the bathroom. Ino remembered the writing and all her waves of pleasure running trough her disappeared in a flash. Her eyes started tearing again, but she moved her head from his to block out the look. Ino, I have to get back to class, okay? Naruto kissed her once more and moved back a step. What's wrong? Why you've been crying? Naruto noticed her teary eyes again. Oh, nothing. Just allergic to something. We got to get to class. We're going to be late. Ino didn't look back at him and continued down the hall, feeling his eyes watching her every move as she walked farther and farther away from him. The whole day Ino went to her classes silent, not speaking to anyone in her classes she usually greeted or chatted with. Ino was just torn apart by what her dad had ordered, Naruto's parents changing his classes and the writing on the stall's door. She figured many girls had used the bathroom and had a chance around to see and spread rumors, twisting the story for worse. Ino was getting out of her class she used to have with Naruto and headed down the hall, G-sping he books to her chest, feeling every girl's eyes watch her as if she was a celebrity. Ino heard her name being called out in a loud whisper. She turned to see Temari walking up to her slowly, looking around at the laughing girls. Hey Ino, did you read? I read it. Ino snapped back quickly. Why? What happened? Ino saw the concerned look on Temari's face, mixed with being worried. Temari, what else did you hear? I was in the bathroom with Shik. Temari's eyes almost popped out her head when she realized what she was about to reveal. I was using the bathroom and I read something that someone wrote on the stall's door. Who the hell's spreading those rumors about you? Temari narrowed her eyes at the group of girls near her. They quickly scattered trough the halls. I don't know. Remember last night when I told you and Sakura to hang up the phone because I had to talk to Tenten privately? Ino saw Temari nod before continuing. Well, I think Sakura stayed on the Lee. Sakura, Temari yelled, looking around for the pink-haired female. Let's go find her, Ino. Get this settled. Temari grabbed Ino by the arm and led her halfway up the hall when Ino shook her off. We can't. I'll talk to her later in gym. I have that with her only, and guess what? The reason Naruto hasn't seen me or anything was because my parents told his parents about us. That damn Sakura. Ino made a tight fist, feeling the anger come back to her. That sucks, Ino. Get to class. We'll settle this later in lunch, 3 periods from now anyway. Temari waved at her and walked into the nearest door she was at, her next class. Ino stood there wondering what to do back. She sure wasn't going to play Sakura's games, she was better than that. Once again her class went by in a flash, still not saying a word to the others in her class, especially the clique of girls near her that kept whispering her name. Ino knew she had to stop Sakura or whoever was doing this to her, so with that, the bell rang and it was time to confront Sakura in gym class. Where is he? Sakura thought, rushing down the runway to the locker rooms. Her green sparkly eyes glanced around for the blonde, but in the meantime, Sakura rushed over to the girls' locker room next the boys' locker room. Inside, Sakura opened up her small locker room and looked at the small pile of shorts she had. Which one? Sakura looked off the pile, seeing all the girls who were changing near her watch her. Yes. Sakura growled at the girls who immediately looked away. Perfect. Sakura's sinister smile crawled up to her face when she held up a pair of small, what she called, booty shorts. Sakura slid out of her clothes and slid the small shorts up her creamy legs. This will go. Sakura looked back into the locker room and found a white tank top that exposed her belly button. She put on her black sneakers and just when she turned around, Ino was walking in. Hey Ino, Sakura's smile stayed put. Better hurry, you know how guy is. Sakura rushed around her. Ino caught her by the arm and pulled her back to the lockers. What? She narrowed her eyes. I got to talk to you. About. I think you know what this is about, Sakura. I have to talk to you now privately. Ino opened up the locker next to hers and began to change quickly before Sakura could shirt out the locker room. Sakura waited until Ino was fully dressed in her blue and white shorts with a tight white t-shirt to reply back. Just meet me upstairs, okay? I need to use the bathroom, alright. Sakura walked into the small bathroom inside the locker room and disappeared behind a stall. Sakura waited behind, listening to the girls leave the room one by one. Ugh. Ya'll meet you upstairs. Ino didn't care whether it was in here or upstairs, she was still going to get her point across. With that, Ino walked out the locker room and headed up the steps that led to the gym. She's gone. Sakura bended over, looking under the stall for any moving feet. With no one there, Sakura unlocked the door and slowly made her way out the locker room and next door to the boys' locker room. Where the hell is she? Ino waited at the bleachers for about 5 minutes, awaiting for Guy who usually took his time making his way up here. Ino took in a deep breath and looked around for a sight of pink. It looked as if she wasn't coming and Ino was going to find her. Sakura walked slowly into the large boy's room, looking around for anyone in the room. That's when she found him changing over at the far right of the room. He almost made her body quiver at the sight of his half-exposed body. Hey Naruto, Sakura walked over to him, startling him by placing a finger down his bare back. You look very good with no shirt on, you know that. Sakura ran her finger back up his spine. Sakura, you're not supposed to be in here. Naruto yelled in a loud whisper, moving back from her and trying to tie the small string on his black shorts while dropping his shirt on the ground next to him. Sakura noticed her touch had made his NS hard, and she was going to get him. You don't want to see me, Naruto? Sakura asked with a face frown and a baby girl's voice. She moved in closer until his back was up against the lockers. With her right index finger, she traced his abs until she was above his waistline. Naruto stared at Ino's beautiful blue orbs who were running with tears strolling down her cheeks. The noise they had heard was the sound of the door slamming. Ino looked down at Sakura with disgust and sadness. Sakura replied with a bright smile. Naruto pulled his shorts up to his waist again, moving Sakura up to her feet, but by the time he looked over again, Ino was out the door. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.